Welcome to Finland. For an outsider, the country is known for its clean air, vast forests, and happiest people in the world. In 2022, the small Nordic country got its place on global headlines as it decided to apply for NATO membership after Russia invaded Ukraine. Finland is usually known for its positive aspects, but below the surface, a slow growth rate of the economy and negative trade surplus has raised issues for Finns. Youth of the country are earning less than their parents, and the Finnish economy lacks fastly growing companies that could help the next generation to increase their living standards beyond their parents. Finland used to be a quickly growing economy, and government budgets were in surplus. Over the last few decades, this small EU member state has fallen from the growth curve of other Nordic countries. As the global recession seems to be inevitable due to high inflation, rising interest rates, and geopolitical tensions, Finland is facing the most challenging times during its existence. To understand the current situation, we need to take a brief look into the history of Finland. After the Second World War, Finland was one of the states on the losing side as Finns fought with Germans against the Soviet Union. The Finns were lucky as they were able to hold their independence and status as a sovereign state. Finns had to accept heavy Soviet demands for peace. Soviet spies entered Finland to monitor does Finland behave according to the terms of a peace treaty. After the war, Finland did not meet the characteristics of a developed economy. The country was reliant on the forest industry and agriculture. Ironically, losing in the war was also a blessing for Finland's economic development. The International Court of Justice ordered Finland to vast war reparations, which were largely paid in manufactured products. From 1946 to 1952, these reparations accounted for a significant share of all industrial outputs. In terms of magnitude, the war reparations could equal up to 4% of the country's GDP. Also, the rebuilding of the country after the war increased the demand for industrial products. Thanks to war reparations, Finland launched its industrial production quickly to full scale after war. The Finnish markka acted as a currency for Finland. The devaluation of the currency several times between 1945 and 1949 boosted exports to the West. The combined effect of the two devaluations in 1949 was that the value of the dollar rose by 70% against the Finnish markka. From the 1950s until Finland joined the euro system, currency devaluations were used often to enhance the competitiveness of local industrial products on global markets. Finland is a country where everybody is taken care of. That is probably one of the reasons why the nation is ranking so high in the happiness indices. Throughout the second half of the 20th century, the Central and Social Democratic Party led the country. During the 1960s, government decided to adopt the welfare state model. This meant that education up to university is free for everyone. The pension is guaranteed by the state and healthcare is paid by the state. When the 1990s arrived, the boom of the Finnish economy was beginning. Finland's economy was developing decently through the latter part of the 20th century. But to catch its Nordic peers with GDP development and to finance increasing public costs due to extensive welfare programs, Finland needed an injection of economic growth. The injection came with the name Nokia. Albeit, Finland was suffering a major recession after the collapse of the Soviet Union during the early 90s, something was happening in one of the largest industrial conglomerates of Finland. Jorma Ollila was placed as CEO of Nokia in 1992, and he continued the work of his predecessor to sell Nokia's vast business divisions, and decided that the company will focus on the telecom industry. A major part of the new strategy was the acceleration of the mobile phone business. World-famous models like Nokia 3310 helped the company to gain its position as the largest mobile phone producer in the world. By 1998, Nokia had achieved the status as the biggest mobile phone brand in the world. For Finland, Nokia was blessing. What are the chances that a small Nordic nation on the outskirts of Europe with a population of only 5.5 million people will ever achieve such an amazing business story that Nokia drove? I can tell you that the chances are extremely low. By 2003, Nokia as a single company brought 3.5% of Finland's total GDP. That was more than any other Western country any single company brings GDP. To bring a little bit of relativity to this figure, we can look at Germany. In 2015, the whole German car industry accounted for 2.7% of Germany's GDP, and this includes all German car makers and subcontractors. There is no doubt that Nokia was a huge success story for Finland, and it brought an astonishing amount of capital to the small nation. In the mid-2000s, Finland's economy was rocking. It seemed that there is nothing to stop Nokia's success, and the whole Finnish economy was booming. During the fiscal year of 2007, Nokia's revenue peaked at 51 billion euros. Meanwhile, dark clouds were gathering. Steve Jobs announced the first iPhone, and the countdown to Nokia's failure in the mobile phone business began. Bad news for Nokia, and also a really bad news for Finland's public finances. Also, the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers and the beginning of the largest financial crisis in decades did not help Finland. From 1995 until 2008, Finland's government had built a welfare program on the hypothesis that Nokia will bring a growing number of tax euros forever. It seemed like any kind of spending target will be financed by the telecom money. Taxes were lowered and public services improved. In retrospect, this doesn't look irrational, as the common metrics of economic success were showing the correct direction. For example, the balance of trade remained positive until 2009, and the government budget was in surplus for almost the whole first decade of the 21st century. Since the financial crisis of 2008 and the fall of Nokia's mobile phone business, Finland has been suffering. GDP growth has been lagging, and other Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway and Denmark, have been leading in economic development. The future of the Finnish economy looks mixed. Sluggish development of the economy has continued since 2008, and public debt levels have increased dramatically. The pension system seems to be overwhelmed and the population is aging. It will be a challenge for future Finnish generations to pay back the debts which have been accumulated to provide social services for large age classes that were born after the Second World War. The task is especially challenging because the debt is accumulated to cover deficits on the government budget, which has been used to finance one-time services rather than investing in long-term projects such as infrastructure and education. If we keep our inspection purely on the economic indicators, the future does not look that promising. However, we should also take into account qualitative factors when projecting the future of a country. Education is important for any nation. Finland has been well known for its educational system. Each person has access to free education from comprehensive school to university. Unfortunately, it seems to be that development of Finland's educational systems has been slowing. If we analyze the Finnish educational system by PISA rankings, we can see how effective education really is. PISA is the OECD's program for international student assessment. PISA measures 15 years olds' ability to use their reading, mathematics and science knowledge and skills to meet real-life challenges. In the early 2000s, Finland was constantly reaching first or second positions in overall rankings. In the latest surveys, rankings have dropped to positions from 6th to 18th. An especially large drop is seen in the math results. This leads to a question: is Finland any more capable to produce educated employees who can build and maintain profitable businesses? After Russia invaded Ukraine, security questions raised their importance on a large scale for the first time since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Even though Finland has been maintaining one of the largest reservist armies that exist, being a neighbor of Russia makes Finland's geopolitical location seemingly challenging. As an EU member state, Finland must comply with all Western sanctions, and important trade with Russia was cut off in merely weeks. From an economical perspective, this was a big hit for many Finnish industries. Also, international investors could now count on a larger geopolitical risk for Finland when evaluating investment opportunities. To gather international investments, Finland now needs to provide bigger returns than earlier. If Finland cannot provide those returns, foreign investments may dry up. Luckily, Finland decided to apply for NATO membership, which would improve Finland's position from a military perspective as a Russia's neighbor. There are also positive signs in Finland's economy. I still need to discuss a little bit about Nokia. Even though Nokia's mobile phone business experienced epic failure, it created tens of thousands of extremely highly educated and capable engineers and business persons for Finland, who have now taken their skills to other companies and found new startups. For example, the gaming industry has seen a huge rise in Finland. Multiple gaming startups have decided to set up their headquarters in this cold northern nation. Just to name a few, Rovio, which is the studio behind Angry Birds, is located in Espoo, Finland. And Supercell, which is the studio behind Clash of Clans, and Heyday is located in Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland. Overall, Finland is a nation that has experienced the economical growth story of a century, thanks to Nokia's huge success. Even though things have not developed at the same pace as in the late 1990s and early 2000s, Finland still has a relatively good framework to develop its economy. However, the government needs to cut expenditure and stop increasing public debt. Without action, Finland will not change its wrong direction. What do you think about Finland's future? Please comment below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and consider subscribing. See you next time.